So hello, hi, I am Andrea Westerlin. Nice to meet you. I am the editor of Flower Power magazine, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. It's a new print publication in Rochester, and the tagline of this cool magazine is "Cool shit in Rochester, New York, and beyond." Just to give you a little idea of what we're about. But I'm going to start with some background. So this magazine was started just last year. 4 people met at Boulder Coffee and said, "Hey, should we start a magazine?" Maybe. And then Flower Power was born. We released our first issue in July. And then right now we have grown to a team of 6 volunteers and 2 interns. So we are growing by the day. We've released 3 issues with a 4th coming in May. But it all started just last year. So our mission is to provide a space for stories that are not told for whatever reason, whether it's from underrepresented groups, people who just aren't big enough for the mainstream media. We want to share stories of the amazing people, businesses, and organizations in Rochester, New York, because there are a ton of them. There are so many amazing things happening in Rochester, and the magazine just wants to highlight that. And it wants to prove that although it is kind of fun to shit on your hometown, there's a lot of stuff in Rochester that's worth being here for, which I'm hoping everybody in this room would agree with.
Hell yeah.
So we are 3 issues in. Every issue has a theme. The first issue in July was Impact, which was a lot of fun. Then we had Sensation, which was also fun, and these are the covers of the magazines, as you can see. February, we launched Belonging. And then next month, we are going to be launching Empower, and the cover is not finished yet for that. So we're still working on that. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea, and you're not gonna be able to read any of that besides the big words, but I want to give you a little bit of an idea of what kind of stuff we cover. So here we've got a story about a local actress who just came back from New York City, Los Angeles, all that fun stuff, to make it big in Rochester because she loves Rochester but didn't want to stop doing what she's doing. We've got artists, different artists from the area. We've got local filmmakers. We've got local authors. We've got local businesses. As you can see, we're 420 friendly. We've got essays. We had an amazing essay from Anna Voss on fat representation in the media, which you can see up there. Another artist in the upper right-hand corner. We cover small organizations. This is a group of women called Win Rochester, Women's Impact Network. So we're covering organizations, we're covering businesses. This is a local yogi who is involved in mutual aid. And of course, we've got music. So music, business, all the fun stuff. But that's why we call ourselves an arts and culture magazine. So we do have a vision for the future because we want to share as many stories as possible in as many ways as possible. I love the magazine. I love it. Having a physical magazine in my hand makes me so happy. But some people like other stuff, like podcasts, videos. And so really, we started with launching the magazine. This year, we're working on building out our online experience. It's for the people who don't want the print magazine, they want to read online. How do we give that to them? Really, and then this year, we're really focusing on subscriptions and advertising. So now people can subscribe for a calendar year. They get all 4 issues. For $30, and then we also open up to advertisers. So we're gonna have our first advertiser in the next issue, which is exciting. And then we want to expand into multimedia. How can we give a visual to this, print media? How can we, do video, audio, what have you? Can we do behind the scenes? All sorts of stuff like that. And we've started to do a couple community events, but we want to expand that further. So far we've done a plus size clothing swap, but we want to do workshops. The people in our magazine are super talented. They could give workshops, they could give talks, they could give lectures, all sorts of fun stuff. And so there's no reason why there shouldn't be those, more of those kinds of events from these types of people available. And then eventually we want to really focus on helping our community as best we can. If we, get some money in our pockets, then maybe we'll be able to help, other publications that might want to start up. And then also, branch into advocacy, which is always fun. I have a feeling I'm speeding through this because I'm talking very fast, but there's a lot of ways that you can help Flower Power. The number one way is to buy the magazine, which I conveniently have here with me. So if anybody afterwards wants to copy the magazine, I've got it for sale right out there. $10, unless you buy both copies, in which case it's $15. But you can also submit a story. We take stories from anybody, everywhere. Obviously, if it's like me, we won't do it. But for we have never turned down a story yet. I'm sure it will happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So as long as it's kind of a good spirited Suggestion, we love it. Follow us and share on social. We love cold hard cash. We're not gonna lie. But also you can, if you know a small business that's interested in advertising, we do advertising a little bit differently. We actually design the ad for the business. So it's a way that we can make sure that advertisers fit with our aesthetic, but also maybe small businesses that don't have a marketing team who would just be doing it on their own. Now they've got a designed ad in a magazine, a full page ad for a lot less than it would take to hire a marketing team. Those are the ways you can support, and I went really, really fast because I was nervous. But that's my entire presentation, and I would love to open up the questions. Everybody else started doing it, so I started doing it. But yes, if anybody has any questions.
So you have 4 minutes left over, so I guess the questions and answers could add on 4 extra minutes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you online now?
Yes, we are. Yep. So you can you can purchase a digital copy of the magazine, but you can also read a smattering of the stories for free on our website.
Okay, give the card, the URL, or.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And so it's here. It's flowerpowermag.com. Yep. And it'll be in the slides as well. I don't know if these get sent out, but yep.
We'll hammer it in our newsletter.
Yay!
Everyone in our newsletter will get links, don't worry.
Perfect.
Lots and lots of.
Where can you find the hard copies?
The hard copies are available through our website and also through some local shops. Medusa's by the Bug Jar on Monroe Ave carries it. Why am I blanking? Huh? Little Shop of Porters carries it. And right now that's it. So also if you own a business who's interested in carrying the magazine, let me know. We do sell wholesale if anybody's interested in that. But those are the 2 physical locations, and you can always buy on our website.
Are you going to have a booth or something at the Lilac Festival?
I would love to. It's not on the plan yet. Yes.
I need the music.
Right? It's not on the schedule yet, but we are going to be marching in Rock Pride and hopefully have a presence there. And we are slowly working our way up to bigger and bigger events. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Where do you print the magazines?
Yes, so we try and keep everything kind of small. We started printing in Rochester. The last 2 issues have been in Syracuse, but I think for this issue we're coming back to Rochester. No hate to like Staples and whatnot, but we wanted to go to we wanted to stick with a smaller company, and so we've worked with Patrick Printing in Irondequoit, and then we worked with Dupli Printing in Syracuse. Yeah.
How are you canvassing for content?
Yeah, it's really largely social, and we've never kind of had a shortage of content, which is fantastic. People hear we announce the theme, and people just kind of seem to come out of the woodwork. I don't know if that'll ever taper off. I hope it doesn't. But so far, we really just put out an ask to our email newsletter and our social media audiences.
How many readers and subscribers do you have already?
Yeah, we have a very small subscribership because we just started offering subscriptions last issue. I think we have 30 subscribers, which is awesome. But we print about 250 magazines each run, just because we're keeping it small. And we have sold out of all of issue 1, most of issue 2, and then issue 3 is the most recent, so we've sold out a bunch of those stuff. Yeah.
Plus 40. You have 40.
Yay! flowerpowermagazine.com or flowerpowermag.com/subscribe. Yes.
So with the ads that you designed for
Yeah.
Flower Power, do the companies get to keep those, or is it specifically just for your magazine? Can they not use it anywhere else?
Just for the magazine. Obviously, if they provide any collateral, they can obviously use that collateral. The finished ad is just for the magazine, but they do get approval and all of that fun stuff. So if someone was really desperate to keep it, I'm sure we could work something out though. I just haven't run out. Yes.
I was going to.
Oh, yeah.
So for story submissions, what would you say are your requirements for a story? Can it just be like an idea, and then you kind of run with it, or do you kind of require people to give you some content, maybe give you a background before you can really go with it?
Yeah, so we get, usually our submissions, start with like somebody sends us a short paragraph of an idea. We say, we love it. Would you be interested in writing it? It's always our first question. We always want to know if the submitter wants to write it. Some people are like, actually, yeah, I can do that. I never thought about that. I can totally do that. And then other people are like, I really am not good at this, but I have this awesome friend who's doing this cool thing, in which case then we'll take it and write it. But really all we need is a connection. You know, where do we start with an interview? Who can we take photos of? And then we kind of tease the story out from there. But our first question is always, do you want to write it yourself? Because we are a small team. Anybody else? All right. Yes.
What kind of genre do you guys focus on?
Pretty much everything. The only thing we really don't do is like fiction, but we, you know, essays, business, different features on organizations, features on music. We do photo essays. We do different types of, we don't do a ton of like event stuff just because we are quarterly. I don't know if I mentioned that. We are quarterly. And so it would be hard for us to promote events unless we knew about them way in advance. But we've covered events after the fact. So really nothing is off limits. I'm trying to get a little bit more, I want it to be as holistic as possible. And so we've been trying to get, like, we almost got a sports story. It went away, but we almost got it. But, you know, tech, you know, medicine, health, wellness, all of these things, you know, we don't want to just be an arts magazine. We love art, but we don't want to just be an arts magazine because we want anybody to be able to open it and be inspired. So there's really kind of the sky's the limit. We haven't found our limit yet, but. Ooh, yes and then yes.
Yeah, if you, since you only print quarterly, but you have the website, you could put events on the website.
That's very true. That's very true.
I'm just saying, if you do something like that where, with, you know, it's like events on there, it's like, obviously pulling more eyeballs
Yes.
on the website.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Put our events.
Yes. Maybe you'll be the first person to like christen my calendar on the website. And yes.
What, I would kind of describe it target audience for like the map.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, I found that a lot of people enjoy it, but I think probably tend to skew a little bit younger, probably more liberal. We don't publish a ton of, you know, we don't really do like political content, so it wouldn't be super polarizing, but, you know, we tend to, the team is a little bit more liberal, so that's the kind of content that we're drawn to. So, but I think anybody who's passionate about Rochester, you know, who's just wants to know what's going on and see the cool things that are happening and is passionate about the city, I think would enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your favorite part about running this
Favorite
magazine?
part
Yeah.
is that every 3 to 4 months I get a printed copy of the things that are in my brain.
Nice. We love that.
Yes. All right.
All
All right. Yeah.
How did, when you decided, like, you were at Fuego, right?
Yeah.
How did that, like, decision go as far as, like, it's an idea, shit, let's go do it?
So I always joke and say that I had the idea and then I blacked out, and 3 weeks later I had a team on the website. In reality, I did at some point go to the coffee shop and present. I had a 1-pager to my 3 friends, and I was like, "Do you want to do this with me? Please don't laugh." And they didn't. They didn't laugh, and so they thought it was cool. And then we grabbed a few more people, and and the rest is history. So it was just an idea that popped into my head. I kind of sat with it for maybe not as long as I should have, but and then I found people to help me with it, which I think is like the key message: is if you have a cool idea, find some people to help you with it, and you can do it. Anybody can have a magazine. So yeah. Yeah.
How are you capitalizing to start it up? I'm sure you're doing costs associated.
Yeah. So it's all been self-funded so far. We're hoping that between advertising and subscriptions, we might be able to start covering our printing costs. But right now, it's all self-funded. So yeah. But we sold out of most of our first issue at our launch party for the first issue, which was very cool. So yeah.
Is there anything you're looking for support with, like maybe finances, but like what can the community, like what relationships or networking would help you?
Absolutely. I would just love to continue for people to raise a hand and say something cool over here, and just shining a light on those things so we can even become aware of them, because there's so many cool things happening, and I couldn't possibly, even if I scoured the internet and the news and, you know, walked up and down the street every day, all day, I could never uncover it all. So really just, you know, group thinking, the content, I think, is the biggest thing that can really help, and just, you know. Yeah.
So in terms of like story submissions, when you say like, do you want to write it yourself, or like we take it, is there sort of that gray area for stories, people who submit stories where you work collaboratively with them to develop the story?
Absolutely. So we've done a couple of things. We've done things where someone will do the interview and then we'll write it. We've done things where somebody does the interview, does a really rough first draft. with the kind of the explanation that, this isn't what I naturally do, so feel free to edit, and then we edit the heck out of it. So there's varying levels. Sometimes we get submissions that are just fantastic, we tweak a couple words and it's good to go. Other times it takes a pretty big rewrite. And the big thing that we like to focus on is people. So we'll get a lot of kind of overly promotional stories, and we'll say, okay, this is great. Your business sounds super cool, but let's reframe it a little bit to talk about your story. Yeah, and I'm out of time. You know me. You
No, I know, but, okay, can someone submit a pitch for a story before they write the story to you?
Yeah, because then we'll give them a word count or a suggested word count and all that
Okay,
fun stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, stuff.
Also, can we submit a starter card?
Yeah,
Is that a little too self-promoting? or-
Why not? As long as you can talk about the people and their journey to Startup Grind, I'm cool with that.
Startup Grind is the people.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Miss Casey, and I'm an artist. I run a co-op called Muck Duck Studio, and I do a lot of performance art in the community. I do live painting at places like Jazz Fest, Party in the Park, Lilac Festival, Cornhill Arts Festival, and all that glamorous stuff. But I'm really not in the arts community for the art. I'm in it for the people. So I created a co-op called Muck Duck Studio, and that's where all the passion happens. Muck Duck Studio is a creative empowerment space where people can come in at all levels of creative talent across all genres and explore together and cross-collaborate to see what new ideas can become. We are really aiming at people's creativity and personal expression. And rather than going on about what we do, I'd rather tell you why. Because creativity is one of our most crucial skills. It's at the baseline of every big decision. It's at the baseline of everything that has to come before we execute a plan. People have to feel empowered enough to take what they do have and make use of it. Because in so many ways we think, oh, I don't have that. I don't have that experience. I've never done that before. I could never. And that's when opportunity literally dies. So my art studio pulls together people from all genres. And when I say all, I mean there are 11 of us. And we cross over from musicians, artists, painters, designers, and podcasters. We have a human who does environmentalism and a lot of environmental protections. And there are just so many different ways those mediums come together to create a larger effect than when they're alone. That's why we're designed to strengthen creativity and personal relationships. Our approach. Because there are so many options, we've decided to stick with 4 main pillars: somatics, music, visual art, and environment. For those of you who don't know, somatics are relating to the body, distinct from the mind. When we leave the brain and move into the body, we can sense and we can feel through issues or troubles or excitement. These are activities like meditation, sound baths, mindfulness practices, and yoga. Everybody knows yoga. You might not love it, but you know about it. And so what happens when we leave the mind is we're no longer plagued with thinking. Our culture has us thinking all the time. We're constantly bombarded with stimulus. So what happens when we pause? We move into silence. And then we can sense in our body, oh man, I need to relax. My shoulders are tense. Or I need to work with my hands. I'm feeling fidgety. And when that starts to happen, all of the things that we've been thinking about, they stop. When your senses are engaged, your thinking pauses, and that's when new ideas can come into formation. Synergy happens in pause. This is where I get to talk about cross-pollination. It's a word that we kind of defined ourselves, because I do believe Muck Duck Studio is ahead of its time. Cross-pollination is the interaction of 2 or more creative mediums that produce a combined effort more than each itself. When I pair my live painting with live music, I'm not only stimulating your visuals, I'm stimulating your auditory senses as well. How are you going to be worrying about your problems if you're too busy watching and listening, huh? And that's like really important because people, they deserve some silence. Our very basic approach, not only do we have a physical studio where we offer live performances, creative mixers, which is like networking for creatives, support groups, creative classes, and rental space, but we also have out-of-studio operations as well. We bring our skill set and our workshops to locations where the demographic in need maybe has accessibility issues or needs to be met on their territory. Think old folks' homes. They love music. Music will actually provoke a part of their memory that is not able to be accessed when they experience things like dementia. We're able to go back in time with them through art and music. Think after school programs where art budgets have been cut. People are able to enrich their children without it costing the parent because times are tough right now. Think rehab centers, not just for drug addiction and recovery, but also through like physical repair, people with relearning how to write, relearning how to walk, relearning how to speak. Somatic experiences don't require any of that. Sit in your chair, learn to breathe, become one with your body, and the mind will follow. We aim to supplement our local community with vibrant programming. Who do we work with? This is my favorite part. This is synergy in action. Muck Duck Studio isn't just an art studio. I really want to be divorced from that because we're so much more idealistic. We are a hub for nonprofit organizations, individuals, and businesses to work on a collective and individual level. In practicality, what that means is we have nonprofit partnerships with places like NAMI, PCHO, Person-Centered Housing Options, Rock E6, the Gillum Grant Foundation, and Center for Youth.
And the Free Art Collective.
And definitely the Free Art Collective. So, an example of this, NAMI, the Mental Health Association of Rochester, wasn't able to maintain one of their programs because they are at capacity with their resources. Their time and their energy cannot go towards their open mic night, which was a huge turning point for so many people. So I reached out to NAMI and I said, I'd really love it if you would host your open mic in my studio on my stage with my equipment. And all you have to do is show up and advocate your resources. And one of the most beautiful things that happened is 40 people came. It was a full house. Next month, we're slated to have about 60 registered, and that is exciting as well. And we are growing infinitely. This is great. Yes. And they've invited us to have a table at their walk at the end of May. So what that means is we are now taking their mission and making it personal. We use our resources to help them reach their vision, which in turn helps us reach our mission and vision as well. And together, our combined efforts are more than they would be as separate entities. Our culture up until this point may have told us we were better off as islands. You worry about you and I'll worry about me. But times are changing and we're entering into a new we stage. And moving away from the commodity market, we're moving into the experiential. And it is nothing like a brand new experience to open one's mind and create a malleable, open-hearted, about things differently kind of attitude. And Muck Duck Studio is a testing ground for a lot of that. It's easy to get stuck in fear and think, I'm not good enough, I could never do that. But if you come in and you give us a try, you're not gonna fail. Because that's not how art works. There is no failing, there is no competition. We're in this together. Thank you. Do we still have time for questions? Great. I'm open for questions. Yes.
Would you be interested in working with Startup Grant?
Absolutely.
Come in. Do you charge for people renting your space, or how does it work?
So our studio is fully self-supporting through its rental. Like people come in, they rent, covers the cost of our overhead, and then we're able to offer our workshops The phrase is not a fluff, not turned away for lack of funds. So people can come in as low as $1 and contribute, and all of those donations go back into supplies. Thanks for asking. Yes.
Have you experimented with like open retreats?
Yes, I specifically do work. I do wellness retreats. I do pop-ups for stress relief, and I take mental blocks and I just tweak them a little bit and break them apart so you look at everything differently. And we do a lot of stress detox workshops. We combine yoga, breath work, painting, and writing in different capacities. But corporations can actually reach out and pick and choose off of our menu which services they would like to receive. Yes.
What is your background that got you into this?
So I studied international relations and global affairs in college. I actually worked with refugees over in Thailand before the pandemic. And I felt like a Band-Aid on a bullet hole on a big global problem. And it broke my heart every day. And so when the pandemic hit, I came home to Rochester and I thought, how can I be of maximum service in my skill set, knowing what I know now that I've had these experiences. So I brought these back home to Rochester, and I've been targeting Rochester like a bulldog because we deserve it. We've earned it, and we have the same issues here that we do around the world. And frankly, a lot of the refugees I was working with have relocated to Rochester. Thanks for asking.
Do you do like would you do like event planning, creative events like for a company? Like they can hire you to plan events? Is that something you could potentially do?
That is something we are currently doing.
Okay.
So I was able to throw a massive community party at Water Street Music Hall last October called Dark Carnival, where I was able to raise, they gave me a budget, and then I was able to hire artists, creatives, and fill the space with crazy lighting and actors and actresses and dancers and music, and it was wild. Fog machines. I mean, you felt like you were floating. It was really cool.
That's dope.
Questions back?
Yeah, so I work remotely, which makes the whole, like, there's a lot of resources for people who work in offices to have like stress relief and these kind of programs. Have you thought at all about trying to create a program for remote workers where they can come and, I don't know what the pricing structure would be or anything, but does that seem like something that's interesting to you? Because I am interested.
Absolutely. And that's why Muck Duck is for everyone, because it doesn't matter if you want to participate or if you want to be in the audience. If you want to learn a new skill, that's great. We do offer a ton of options for you to connect in with us, and we invite you to take the personal agency to decide when to come in. It's really an act of empowerment and bravery when you make the decision to come in and learn a new skill.
Cool.
We could package it however you want. Any other questions? Yes.
Say one thing that you're not doing now, or you don't have now, that in a year's time, where you want to be.
So glad you asked. I do have kind of a lot of visions. I do have a lot of ideas. One thing that we're currently working on is our nonprofit paperwork. I do have a board of directors, but the paperwork itself is a process. Love for that to pass swiftly. The other thing that I'm really working on is our environmental programs. I'm looking to partner with another already established environment protection agency or a group. I have a couple in the works that we're kind of vetting, but I'd really love to see. An example is Muck Duck Studio is going to bring their demographic and our workshops to farms in the region, and we're going to offer retreat days at the farm where we're doing permaculture activities at the same time as like bonfires and music and yoga, like all day. So the farm will receive a garden and garden growing, and the artists will get to perform, and then the people who attend will get an arrangement of the inter-art services.
One more else.
Yeah.
Do you ever work with special needs kids?
I do work with special needs kids. I have a partnership with Heritage Services where they use a budget called self-directed funding, and parents will get to, at no expense of their own, bring their children into me, and then we do one-on-one skill building. It's very self-directed. I give them the tools, they pick their direction. I have a couple kids who have seen like really, really, really inspiring growth over the last few weeks. Just actually, it's been months now. But yeah, I work with kids on the spectrum all the way from nonverbal to developmental to behavioral and beyond. Yes, I work with special needs children and adults. Any other questions? Got like 30 seconds. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever had anyone try to, I guess, order off the menu? Like, if someone asks for something so specific or it's like off the charts, like, would you ever have like a list of people you couldn't call it, like not just employees or like partners?
Oh, yes. I have a huge list of people that I can reach out. People are our resource. It's always about the people. If I cannot do it, I know someone who can. And if I don't, they know someone who can. And if it's something no one knows, I am so interested in learning. It's like I already want to pick it up. So yes, we can facilitate a lot of solutions. That's my time.
Thank you. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for presenting.
You're welcome. I look forward to connecting.
All right.
So on this
So I'll just
So-
like casually, that's fine.
J-Sick with Queer Culture Coaching. Take us
Yeah.
away. Thank you.
All right. We're good. We're online. We're good. Gucci.
Yes.
Okay. I just need to get this. Don't start my time yet. Sorry. Gotta get situated. Okay. Good to go. Hello, everyone. My name is J-Sick Wade. I am a life coach, peer support specialist, blogger, and a consultant and coach for accessibility and inclusion work, or as it's more known by diversity, equity, and inclusion work. I love people, and seeing them thrive is my passion. So I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you for having me. So what is this diversity, equity, inclusion stuff, right? There's a lot of buzzwords. Diversity speaks to different backgrounds, ways of thinking, and identity markers for people. So this is more than just diversity of race and gender. Things like sexuality, neurodivergence, religion, age, mental health status, ability status, citizenship, nation of origin, socioeconomic status, familial status, weight, veteran status, gender expression, you get the idea. This list is non-exhaustive and it's not as nuanced as it can be also. Equity refers to fair treatment based on intersectionality of identities so that the end result is equal. Equity refers, according to McKinsey.com, to the fair treatment for all people so that the norms, practices, and policies in place ensure identity is not predictive of opportunities or workplace outcomes. So we'll revisit that in a moment. And inclusion, creating a sense of belonging. All involved can make meaningful contributions. It's not enough to just have diversity on a piece of paper and check it off. There needs to be a culture of efficiently and compassionately engaging with that diversity so that all voices are heard, respected, and accommodated for. So one of the pioneers of DEI movement, Ms. Shirley Chisholm, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. It's a pretty cool statement, very powerful statement from a powerful woman, but this is in the 1970s, right? So we're in 2023, and that puts a lot of onus on the individual to fix their problems that are often systemic. So what do we do about that? What if, hear me out, we built a culture that is always inviting? The table is infinite. There's always a seat available. Hang tight, I'm gonna give you another analogy. So from tables to baseball diamonds, here we have a visual by Angus Maguire. So we have reality, right, where there are several people who are very privileged and can see everything, and then everyone's kind of like clawing at the fence trying to see what they can. And we think equality is the way to go about it because, you know, treating everybody equally seems to be fair, right? But actually it isn't, because we need to take into account the compounding oppression a person may experience for holding the identities that they do. This is what we call intersectionality. So then we come to equity, which we already discussed a little bit. And equity is actually accounting for all of those identities and how they impact a person and giving them the proper accommodation and support so that they're actually on an equal playing field. But this last slide, this is the world that I desire. This is the world that a lot of social justice advocates desire, where we start from the beginning without barriers. What if we started at inclusion? What if we started with belonging? What would that take? And I can tell you, it would take a lot of people from the top to actually give a shit. But, you know, there's only so much we can do from the ground up, right? A lot of groundwork, grassroots work is very important. That's what we need. But we also need the other end to care. We need the other end to be motivated and mobilized. And part of all that work is for us to make or stop making so many assumptions and actually focus in and start living from the 3 C's, which I will get to in a moment. But for now, this list, an example of assumptions, right? So looking at me, you probably wouldn't think that I am all of these things. And you may or may not assume how these particular four make my life pretty difficult. But they're not difficult because I am these things. It's difficult because we live in a world that is not yet, my life can be difficult not because I am these things, but because we do not live yet in a world where my lived experience is understood, accommodated for, or even respected. And even with me telling you about my lived experience, would you know what to do with that information? Would you know how to make the cultures you're a part of more inclusive? We do ourselves a great disservice assuming what life is like for others and then not providing certain accommodations and support, or not even hiring a diverse workforce to begin with. So I'm going to throw some quick stats at you. This is just a little snapshot. It doesn't actually speak to the whole breadth of it. But right now, 22% of LGBTQIA people are living in poverty. The national unemployment rate for persons with a disability ages 16 and older is 10.1%. That is over double the national rate. And analysts estimate that the U.S. unemployment rate for those who are autistic is 85%, compared to 4.2% of the overall population. Y'all, this is why I'm making my own career. I don't fit the mold. So many people do not fit the mold. So what can you do? Well, you can do many things. And if this talk doesn't indicate anything to you, you can hire me. You can hire consultants and coaches like me. I am here, I am queer, and I need a career. But all jokes aside, I became a consultant and coach for this particular line of work, not just because I wanted to make the world a better place. I quite actually had to carve out my own career. Living as a multiply queer, neurodivergent, dynamically disabled person has kept me from the normal success and career in life. But in this way, I actually can leverage my privilege and educate through my own story. Personal narrative is a very powerful thing, and it's a part of my art as an artist. I tell stories. Also, hashtag nothing about us without us. There are far too many coaches, consultants, educators out there who are teaching on topics that they actually have no relationship to. Having a relationship to someone who is autistic, who is queer, it's not enough. We need people who actually are these things teaching about them, because otherwise we perpetuate harm a lot of the time, even when it's well-intended. And we can go into microaggressions and all that stuff, but we don't have time for that. So anyway, the 3 C's, the pillars of my business. I believe that if we live through the harmonious combination of curiosity, courage, and compassion, then we have the power to extend our understanding past familiar thinking points. We expand past our assumptions and develop new comprehension, acceptance, and celebration of all people for a better tomorrow. In this way, all people are treated with dignity and respect, are seen as whole and complete because we are, and are valued not just for what they produce, as well as being supported 100%. Y'all, that world, I have chills. That world is beautiful. We can do that together.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So you're probably wondering, okay, so what are your service, Jake? Please tell us. So I compassionately, keyword compassionately, point out how people are a part of the problem so that they can actually become a part of the solution. And that includes consultation. So I comprehensively assess your accessibility and inclusion needs, address needs for acute intervention and gain resources, get you clarity on how to transition your work culture guided by those 3 C's, and you get to ask your questions and get answers without judgment. That also includes training. So these are in-person and online workshops. This is a safe container for learning where you ask your questions, again, without judgment. You get those resources for building allyship skills, and you develop a new lens to see your work culture through. It's not just your work culture, thank you. It's the whole world. You gain a new lens for the whole world. Changes your life. And coaching, you are supported through every step of your DEI journey. One-on-one sessions, liaison mediation between, so one-on-one can be for leadership and for your employees, and liaison mediation is for the affected by the effectors. So I can be a part of that conversation. And you demonstrate to your employees and the people you serve how they matter by cultivating a lasting impact with DEI initiatives. So coaching, I want to go back. You can find all this at queerculturecoaching.com. And wrapping up, A lot of tonight is about how we influence the world positively through artistic mediums and community, and building community. I am an artist of many kinds. This is a part of my art. Getting people to get vulnerable and open-minded enough to actually listen to what I have to say and take action from it is no small feat. It takes art to move people, and that's what I do with this work. I tell my story and I lift other stories up. I truly believe that when we take care of our most marginalized, we care for everyone. DEI work isn't just a responsibility at this point. It's actually an investment in a better tomorrow for your company and for the world around you. Thank you. All right, question time. Who's got them? Yes, go ahead.
What's your dream gig?
My dream gig?
Dream client, dream gig, yeah.
Oh God. So I have a lot of vision for a lot of things. My dream gig is to continue to be my own boss, because that's where I fit the mold. I fit my own mold. And I have dreams of having a neuroqueer center where neurodivergent queer people who don't fit the mold in any sort of way, have accessibility and sensory needs met, have services met, have beautiful art engagement like at Muck Duck, like having those partnerships, having a center where these people are actually recognized as whole and complete people. I want that for the world. I want to bring that everywhere, and I want to start with Rochester. Go ahead.
Quick testimony for JSIC, and it's no personal thing at all. JSIC is really good at meeting people where they are and basically trying to fight against cancel culture. So I've worked with some people who do consultations and coaching, but they're pretty quick to just excommunicate people, and they don't meet them where they are, which is actually how you make change.
Yeah.
So testimony for JSIC about that.
Thank you.
Just a shameless plug for my friends. Also, what can we as a room, what can we do for you to help you?
Right now, I am still starting up, so this is all well developed and everything. In theory, I do have clients. I'm a life coach. Like I said, I do peer support specialist stuff. I have coaching groups. I'm working. I actually just got an application for my first big ticket client, but this is stuff where I still need back end help. I don't know what I'm doing legally, and I know there needs to be legal involvement in the work that I'm doing. So if anybody has access to a network, or you yourself know like how to design contracts, how to design that's just legal jargon. Go ahead.
My wife is a lawyer.
Oh, we'll talk later. Thank you.
I do that.
Hell yes. Yes, go ahead.
Particularly when you're approaching large corporations, do you have certifications or credentials or backgrounds that you say, okay, I can do this, but here's my background?
Yeah, so
certifies me as someone who you can actually bring into your company?
Absolutely. So there is a balance, right? Because lived experience is a lot. I've been through a lot as a queer, neurodivergent, disabled person. I have a lot of connections to other advocacy groups. I actually partner for autistic advocacy. I partner with a group called Academy out of the UK. So they actually contacted me a year ago when they saw my blog, and we've been working together for the last year. I've taken online courses through, what's his name? Kieran Rose, I think, also for autism. But I graduated from the University of Michigan with a women's studies degree. I went to Academy for Coaching Excellence, graduated to be a coach. So those, it might not sound like the credentials that maybe a bigger corporation would benefit, like want, but maybe they're not the client for me then.
But can you get certification?
I also can get certification. Yes.
No matter how small or big they want to see this.
Right, which is something that also having a fiscal sponsorship, for instance, or somebody who knows how to work in, maybe can make me a nonprofit. There are some things I do need my hand held with. I will fully admit that. So getting to a point where I can afford getting those classes, right? That the DEI certification. But I worked as an LSA, what was I? I was an assistant programmer for the LSA school through University of Michigan after I graduated for some time, curating intercultural responsiveness workshops about microaggressions, about working on diverse teams. So I do have DEI background in that sense. I just don't have the certification yet. So that is absolutely something I would like to get because I know people need it. But for now, it's my background. Yes, go ahead.
So 1 minute remaining, but also question.
Yeah.
How would you scale this? Like,
how would I what?
How would you scale it? Like, if you see enough, like, that might sit down, like your, bandwidth, resources.
So like hiring a team. So right now I'm a sole proprietorship. I want to become an LLC. I want to develop programs that can be evergreen online for businesses to purchase through that way. So that's one way that I don't need to touch it after a while, you know what I mean? But also I would dreaming of having my own team with like-minded people who understand, who share some of the identities that I have, where I can have more diversity and really start to represent my pillars of, yeah. Go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit like how you decided to go from like, I think I can help in this problem space to like, shit, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Honestly, I've always had a heart for this, always. But most of it came down to me realizing that people rely on storytelling more and more and more. And I've been asked more and more and more to share my story. And it just, the synergy was there. It just happened. It was a big moment of like, no, this is serious. This is actually something I can do. And it came down to really believing in self-worth. Just knowing that who I am is worthy of talking about who I am, you know, and lifting other voices up. So thank you. All right, I think time is up, but we can talk after.
Well, that's a great note to leave this out.
Awesome.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, we all have the power. All have the power to do that, so.
Yeah, let's connect.
I would love that.
All right. So wait, hold on.
Thank you.
Can we get another round of applause for Casey, Jason, and Chris? So without our local businesses and people coming up here and doing pitches, we wouldn't really have much to do here. So thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this. It takes a lot of bravery to get out in front of everybody. So I very much appreciate it. Hold on, I have my flyer over here. So just a quick plug for next time. We are continuing to roll this event. So May 18th, there's flyers over there if you want to check it out. We have Echo Life. We have the Bell House Project. We have another nonprofit that I don't know what it's called yet, but we're going to figure that out. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to keep growing. Please invite your friends. If you know of any local people who just want to get up and pitch and tell us what they're doing, please send them our way. We love this. We want to keep doing it. We hope that this is valuable to the community. So, keep supporting us, keep showing up, and thank you because you guys make this happen. Without you, there's nothing. And on that, I'm going to pass it over to Gabrielle to give a quick announcement.
Yes. Okay. So I'm a part of the Startup Grind team, and I also run my nonprofit, the Free Art Collective. So at all the Startup Grind events, we partner with Free Art Collective. So there's a table right on the other side of this wall, and there's a bunch of free art. It is free. I promise there's no strings attached. You can each choose one, and all of the artist information is on the back. That being said, if anyone in the room has a connection to Kodak, they don't know me yet, but they're about to make my prints. So if anyone can help that cocky energy come true, please let me know. We're also building a presence between Startup Grind and the Free Art Collective on RIT's campus. So we're looking to connect with anyone and everyone that has anything to do with RIT. We want to strengthen that connection between us so we can have more startups and highlight the work of more students. Last thing, if anyone has a connection in Google, I'm going to Detroit in July. And we also have a lot of ideas. What? In Detroit? Well, that's all. Now I'm done.
So please continue to eat, have some more drinks, enjoy yourself. We have a ton of food, and someone has to eat it, so I hope that someone is in this room. So with that, I'll leave you. Thank you for coming. This has been a wonderful pitch session, and I look forward to seeing you all next one.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, everyone who's at home, see you later.